it's the way.
We're wanted men.
I have spoken.
Another stressful morning for the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. You know, I'm running a little behind. I was making breakfast and I look at the clock and it's 10 o'clock and we've talked about starting to share the videos. So I'm like, I got to make myself look pretty because I don't want to scare people away. At least look good from the waist up. So, I had to do that real quick. And Jason's like, I'm here, I'm ready. And I'm getting ready. And then my Zoom freezes and then I don't have my headphones in right. And Jason's talking to me like, hey, things that, all my stuff's right. And I'm like, dude, I can't hear you. And then I looked and realized why I couldn't hear him because it wasn't coming through the right headphones. So, and he gives me that eat shit and die look, or, as best Jason can do it.
Yeah, I feel stressed out just listening to you. Man.
Yeah.
What a way to start the morning.
It was.
I think allergies are starting to kick in because I'm starting to feel puffy eyes and scratchy throats and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent headache for the better part of last week. So, but normally it doesn't affect me, or I don't realize it affects me. So maybe that's what, getting older sucks.
Yeah, for those that don't know, down here in Atlanta, we get about, I guess I should say Atlanta. If you're from Atlanta, you say Atlanta.
Yeah, the T is silent.
Yeah. There's like 2 weeks where we just get pine pollen and it covers everything. Everything is just caked in yellow. Sometimes you don't even notice it until it rains, and then you just see these puddles of yellow, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you're breathing that in. What the heck is going on?
Right, that or a truck passes by a big tree and it knocks all the pollen out the tree, or my car is black except for these 2 to 3 weeks when it has a nice shade of yellow going on.
Yeah. So that happens.
Yeah. How's your week been, Jason?
Fine. Uneventful. Yeah.
Can't
complain.
It's the oddball week between Toylanta and the Powder Springs show. So
yeah, it's I was disappointed that because you're hanging with your friends all weekend long, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I guess I gotta go back to reality. And there's a little sadness that Toylanta's over.
It does. It sucks. Toylanta's always fun. That's the best part about it. The best part about any con is hanging out with everybody, and when you have that con low, which always stinks.
Yeah.
So I guess you didn't pick anything up.
Oh, I did get a bunch of stuff.
Oh, what you get?
Yeah, in the mail I got my Galaxy's Edge Creature Pack. It's the Black Series with the Kowakian monkey lizards.
You and them damn monkey lizards.
Yeah, I love the monkey lizards. They're hilarious. So I got that. And then 3 gaming greats came in from GameStop. They hit 1, 2, 3. It was like, oh my gosh. The Imperial Senate Guard from The Force Unleashed, which I hardly remember. I remember the game. I don't remember the villain. There's the RC-1138, which is also known as Boss from Republic Commando, and I love that game. That's the one where you're like 4 different Republic special troopers, and you're doing projects for the campaigns for the Republic.
Uh-huh.
And then I got the Jet Trooper from Battlefront 2, Black Series. So yeah, GameStop's pumping those out.
Yeah, I think I need to play Battlefront 2 some more because it was a fun game.
Yeah, especially with those. Yeah, the Jet Troopers.
Uh-huh.
You hit their backpack and then they go flying and blow up.
Which one had like the droids and the looked like they did the prequels? Was that 2 or no? Because they redid Battlefront 2, didn't they? Or
yeah, back in the day there was Battlefront 2, and was there Battlefront 3 or was that canceled?
I don't know. I know there was a beta run one weekend, and they had a bunch of basically the siege from episode 1, where all the battle droids and stuff, and you were fighting.
Yeah, that is part of Battlefront 2.
Okay.
There's a level like that. But the original run of Battlefront was amazing because it was all capture the flag. It's not based on multimedia or multiplayer campaigns, which I don't like. And we've said this before. And what EA has done with the Star Wars franchise, I mean, we've got a decade with them, and they've only produced 3 or 4 games. It's like, what are you doing?
Not producing video games.
Yeah, well, they're canceling games. They're not doing it. And so it's just good to see that other companies are starting to take a run at making video games for Star Wars. And I'm hoping that somebody else takes the Battlefront banner and makes something spectacular with it, because what EA has done is just not acceptable in my mind for as far as Star Wars video games.
Maybe they're taking cues from Hasbro.
Possibly. How about you? Did you pick anything up?
No, I don't think so.
Did you let anything go that you recently got?
Yes, I actually did. I let a couple of things go because I'm chasing another piece.
Oh, that's that why.
Yeah.
You're bragging about it, and then this week I'm like, wait, what? That thing hasn't been there long enough to collect any dust.
No, it didn't. I let go of that Creature Cantina because it was almost instant buyer's remorse when I got it home.
Oh.
Because it looked good in the shop, and then you get it home and it's like, where the hell am I going to put this? So I made a little bit of money off of it. I probably could have let it ride a little bit more on Deal or No Deal, but I'm also one of those guys where if I got a number, and if I make that number, I'm good, because I don't, I'm not an asshole like that. Somebody did comment, I can't believe you let that thing go for that. Dude, I got my money back. So why would I try to make more money?
Right.
And then I sold him a couple of other pieces that he was like, do you have anything else? And there's another micro piece that I was kind of holding on to, but because they did a Death Star escape in a white box, but I think it was part of the bigger Death Star world. And it's just a white box. Why, you can't display it. It doesn't look good. So I sold that to him too. So I'm chasing a piece that Second Chance has, but we'll see what happens. I just need to make a little bit more money. It's a lot of, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
I got to pump the brakes because Celebration, you're looking and I spent a lot of money. So I got to pump the brakes till Celebration, and then hopefully have some left over when we go to Cincinnati in October.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I got to figure out, there's something I want to make for Celebration, and the cost is just like, whoa. So I'm trying to make a couple things and sell a couple things in the next week or so I can kind of subsidize the production of this item.
Yeah. How much? Swag. Jesus, swag's getting crazy for Celebration, dude.
That's why I want to make this piece. Make something cool and different, but yeah.
Because Narayan keeps posting stuff to the chat. Look at this. Look at that. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of swag. I'm bringing show swag, and I don't have any personal swag, but I don't know. I'm not a big swag person.
That's not important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not important that I'm a swag, that I'm not a swag person.
No, it's not important to you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There are pieces, don't get me wrong, there's pieces that I'd like to have, but I'm not a patch guy. I'd rather, people are making some really awesome handmade things that would be cool to have, but and it is awesome. I'm sorry. It is awesome when somebody walks up to you and hands you a piece of swag out of the blue. It's awesome.
Yep. I have a couple of those the whole patch set with the quart. I'm hoping I could trade the entire set for another entire set. So that kind of kills the need to run around trying to chase people down. So we'll see what happens with that. Then you brought up Narayan, and he keeps posting all the different patches and all the swag that we've kind of made as a club for Celebration. And he's great at marketing. It's just that there's so many different Celebration Facebook groups. I'm like, didn't I just see this? There's a swag group, there's a collection track group, there's a Celebration Anaheim group, and it's just like, we could be more efficient if we just had one of these.
Yeah.
I get for this collecting track, and I'm not calling them out, but I'm like, yeah, I guess there's the swag group, and then there's just the overall Celebration. So yeah, it makes sense that they're all different, but at the same time, whatever. But that's Facebook for you. But it's just like, what? Did we just post that? What's going on?
Because
I'm getting tagged in some of them because we made the commercial.
Dude, do yourselves a favor and look up is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Can we play it if I share my audio?
Can you share your audio? Did I let you?
Yeah, just give me a second. But yeah, I thought it'd be funny to make a commercial to promote the patch set. And I can't remember if it was Ryan that I pitched it to. And he's like, yeah, just go ahead and try it. Let's see what happens. And I even made a script. I mean, it could have been Justin for all I remember. I don't know. It was 2 years ago. Like we just came upon the 2-year anniversary of us making this commercial.
And your kids look so young in it, dude.
Well, yeah, this is the interesting thing because I had watched it for the first time in a long time, just a couple of weeks ago. Where's your videos? Yes, go to my videos. And Harrison's voice 6 months later dropped because he's hitting that time in his life, and so it was just funny that had I waited a couple months, we would not have gotten the same video. I got slice cream, and it's just like, geez. When I watched it a couple weeks ago, I made him repeat that line, and it's just funny to go from A to B. He's like, I got slice cream, and then he goes, I got slice cream.
That's sort of like when Homer Simpson is he's in the boys choir and his dad's like, I'm gonna be rich, and right as he's saying that, his voice changes into Homer.
Yeah. Hold on one second. You have to enable.
Do
me
I have to enable
it?
Hold on. Yeah. Share screen.
Harrison.
Advanced share screening options. All participants. Can you do it now?
I'm in my room. Come in here. Share computers. Sorry, I'm talking to Harrison.
It's all good, man.
I'm gonna play the commercial, and then I want you to say, I got slice cream for the podcast because your voice is dropped. Hold on. It's just funny.
Well, first he comes out of nowhere, and then he's like, what the hell you want, Dad?
Yeah. I could see the love on his face right now. He's loving this idea. I thought I had this up.
You and your nerdy friends.
What is this? Oh,
What is Lumi?
I don't know.
Is it an ad?
Yeah, this is an ad.
Can I get a discount? And my answer is no.
Whoa, is that Boba Banana Split? Yeah, I traded for it last week.
It's the finest ice cream offered on Bespin, and now it's everyone's favorite collectible in the galaxy. Introducing Wilbur Hood's Ice Cream Patch Set.
I'll trade you your Wookiees and cream for my Cinnabon Swirl. Definitely. I love Princess Leia.
This 12-patch set is exclusively available at the next Star Wars Celebration.
I have sliced cream.
Collect all 12 and receive a Wilbur Hood ice cream quart smuggled off Bespin before the Empire could claim it. The new Wilbur Hood's Ice Cream Patch Set by the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors. Collect them all, patches each traded separately.
So it's cut to 6 months later.
I have slice cream.
Thanks.
Bye, Harrison.
He says bye. So yeah, that commercial is being used to promote the patch set, which, I mean, that seems to be the set that people seem to be hungry for.
I'm amazed that we had 10 people, because we sold some to help fund some stuff for the club, and within a half an hour they were sold out.
Yeah, I mean, is it worth the money to not have to stress out and find the patch set and have one set that's completely done for you and complete? I guess maybe
If
you're not going to Celebration, this might be the only way to get it too. Yeah,
that's true too. I mean, and I guess if you figure out, each patch is what, $10. They legitimately, if you're gonna buy a patch, it's a $10 patch.
Yeah.
If not, maybe even 15 with the detail those things have in it. And we had a line of people buying those things up, which really surprised me. But hey, I'm not into swag, but it's a cool swag set.
Yo, talking about subsidizing, I'm like, wait a minute, hello. Just buy it. Buy one of my sets.
Oh yeah.
It's silly.
You can do whatever you want with your set because it's your set, right?
Yeah.
Because how many, with you being a sponsor, how many sets did you get?
3.
Wow. Then did you split your sponsorship?
Yeah, with Narayan.
I got you.
Yep.
Wow. Because I know I got a free set. I got a full set just because with me, my involvement in the club, Narayan gave me a set, but I'm not going to sell it. But it is, I have other patches that I'm like, maybe I can make some money on these.
Yeah. Some news?
Yeah. News.
Let's get into news. Damon Lindelof, who wrote Lost and co-wrote Prometheus. He also wrote Tomorrowland. He also wrote what's the Left Behind show? Not Left Behind. The Leftovers, excuse me, on HBO. He also did the new Watchmen show. He's working on a Star Wars movie. There's no report as to what that is. It could be, for all we know, like he might be just punching up Rogue Squadron, which I think he did with Prometheus. I think there was another writer and he came in and helped punch it up. But it could be completely something different. But my gut says it's probably original trilogy related because he just seems like an original trilogy guy. I also saw this morning, now this is just a rumor and speculation, but I've heard it a couple times, which makes me think where there's smoke, there's fire. That they keep describing it as a Stranger Things TV show set in the Star Wars universe, but I don't think it's what I think they're trying to say is it's the dynamic of all the kids that makes it a Star Wars show, or that makes it like Stranger Things, that it's put into the Star Wars universe. I think it's just a bunch of Padawans in the High Republic era, living life, becoming a Jedi.
That would be cool.
So I think they're going to announce that at Celebration, and I think following Celebration they're going to start filming because it seems like that might be happening.
And it's not that, well, the Acolyte's something totally different, right?
Yes, that's like a dark side series. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I'm kind of curious because I like some of that creepy dark side nature. I liked all that stuff from Rise of Skywalker. I don't think it was used well.
Yeah.
Like, who were those acolytes? Like, how did the Emperor get all those followers? Like, what? It's just whatever.
Yeah, I think we're going to get the answer as to who recloned him here soon, because it does seem like at least in the Mandoverse, that's sort of where they're leading to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Speaking of Mando,
yeah,
Great Scott.
Yes,
Christopher Lloyd has joined the show. He's joining season 3 of Mandalorian.
I'm excited, but I don't want it to be a bit part. I want him to actually like be part of the show. I don't want it to be like a like they did with Danny Trejo, where he's in a show for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I could see like an Amy Sedaris.
Yeah,
like her character Pelly.
That would be awesome.
Maybe some kind of mechanic. Maybe some sort of old school Mandalorian. Like, what if you played Paz Vizsla or Pre Vizsla?
I've heard. Oh,
did he die?
I don't know.
But what if he was just like an old timer?
Yeah.
And go against casting stereotypes.
That would be cool. Could you imagine he's in his armor and then the reveal is him taking his helmet off and you get that crazy Christopher Lloyd look out of the helmet?
Yeah.
Another rumor somebody brought up was, what if he plays the crazy wizard from the Thrawn trilogy?
George Sabat. Oh no. Anything's possible. There's that rumor that they're building up to Disney Plus's first Star Wars movie, Heir to the Empire, which is supposed to be similar. Have you heard this rumor?
No.
Yeah, there was a rumor that.
Oh, yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I did
that's
hear something
the climax, about it. Which would be incredible. I had a very vivid dream finishing that trilogy that I was watching an Heir to the Empire movie. And ever since then, I'm just like, what could have been?
I still think that should have been the sequel trilogy, man.
Maybe there's a multiverse where there is an Heir to the Empire trilogy and it's worth.
I thought you didn't want a multiverse, though.
No, we live in a multiverse where there's another version of Jason who has watched the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
Oh.
It's not a book in his universe. It's a movie.
Wow.
Where's Doctor Strange when you need him?
Yeah. But then we're not Spider-Man.
Let me check. Yeah, I'm not spoiling.
Oh, I still need to watch. Well, it's not out on video yet, so I haven't watched it, but I need to watch the other two Spider-Mans so that I can, because I've watched everything up until like the most recent Spider-Mans.
There's a rumor about Obi-Wan, and I'm not sure if we should go into this kind of stuff or not. We've kind of gone outside of reporting rumors.
Right.
But this one's kind of cool.
Say it.
All right, skip 30 seconds if you don't want to hear it, starting now. So the rumor is, I'll give people a moment to get to their phone and skip, is that Forlon makes an appearance in Obi-Wan as a bounty hunter.
That's not that big of a, oh my God, but that's cool.
No, it's not. But if it's a surprise, supposed to be a surprise, then
maybe this is where we get the bounty hunters. We get them in this versus Book of Boba Fett.
maybe. Possibly.
I don't know. I'm hoping that this kind of becomes the fix-all for everything. Maybe. I don't want it to be, but maybe it'll be the series that kind of fixes it.
I don't think so. I mean, this is a completely different timeline. Deborah Chow, again, did some of the best episodes in The Mandalorian season 1, so I'm very excited that she's directing all 6.
Well, not really fixes it, but maybe fixes our expectations or fixes what we thought was going to happen. You know, am I saying it right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy because when we were kids, everything was possible.
Yeah.
We were looking at through a kid's eyes, the lens of a kid. And we just saw possibilities and everything was incredible. But now we're older and we're kind of beat by life and a little skeptic. And we see these shows and we're like, I don't know about that. Whereas kids, you'd just be like, oh my gosh, those mopeds look incredible. I want one of those when I grow up, you know?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is I don't know if we could ever be happy with everything that Lucasfilm does because we've got too much life behind us. And we remember what Star Wars was when we were kids, and it's not the same as what Star Wars is now as adults.
Right. There was also an article about how Ewan McGregor uses the Force to open automatic doors. I'm like, I still do that too.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yes, and
that's the first thing. I mean, you watch Star Wars and then you go to Walmart, and the first thing you do is open the door. And what I mean is, like, a kid will, watch Star Wars and 5 years old.
Yeah. It's fun because when I was at Celebration in 17, there was a little kid that did that in an automatic door, and he saw me catch him, and he was just, oh my God, this guy saw me. I'm like, dude, I still do it. I'm 40 years old, man. Don't feel bad. And he just laughed. It was a cool little moment. But it's always weird because you don't want to be that weird dude at the convention talking to little kids. So it's whenever you see a little kid at Celebration or at a con doing something cool, you're like, am I that weird dude? Or do you just kind of give them a thumbs up and walk away?
Yeah, but it's interesting that Ewan McGregor's doing it. Because if you don't want fans crowding you, then don't use the Force when opening doors, like a Walmart, because it's just going to melt the brains of any nerd in the vicinity of that happening.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I can't imagine just seeing Ewan McGregor walk up to, the grocery store and the doors open. Like, what the hell did I just see?
But I don't know. I think celebrities are pretty good about hiding themselves, but if you know what to look for, it's pretty obvious.
I guess it's easy with the mask on.
Yeah, that too. There was when I was at Walmart when everybody was wearing masks, I saw somebody like a musician that I'm like, I think it's this dude, but I can't tell. And then he could see that I was looking at him, and it was just one of those weird, like, you don't see me situations. So I just kind of left him alone.
At Walmart?
At Walmart.
What was Paul McCartney doing at Walmart?
No, I think it was like Jesse James Dupree from Jackal, because he had the same build. He had on a hat that there's a venue called the Machine Shop, and I don't think they sell their stuff online. And he had a Machine Shop hat on, so it's like whoever would wear that is either been to the is a musician or has been to a show there or knows music, And I'm just like,
gotcha.
Who is this guy? But hell, I go to Walmart and I forget we're at a lake until I go to Walmart and see people running around in their bathing suits. I'm like, oh yeah, we're near the lake.
You're close to the lake. Yeah, what was Max Rebo doing with a mask in Walmart?
Mm-hmm.
Stellan Skarsgård, who is in Andor, says season 2 starts filming this fall. More Star Wars.
Yeah, more Star. I mean,
is always great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like pizza. Even bad Star Wars is good Star Wars.
Did you partake in the vintage collection pre-order this week at Walmart?
I did not.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
It was crazy because so there's 5 that went live. There's the 2 Bespin security guards, the Stormtrooper, the Death Star gunner, and R2-D2 with the sensor scope, all Walmart exclusives. And at 7 a.m. when I signed on to start work, open up Facebook and they're like, it's live. They're live. Everything but Stormtrooper and sensor scope is live. So I start clicking links because it's 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. These things are supposed to go to live until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but they're live. And so you start clicking the links and nothing's happening. Like it's going to a Walmart page for the general, I guess Walmart has like a convention con or something like that where they have exclusives.
I hate when they do that crap.
Yeah, so they had G.I. Joe exclusives, Transformers, Funkos, all that stuff. The only thing I cared about was vintage collection. And it was going to this generic page, but then somebody online was like, no, it's live. You got to go to these links. And I'm like going to Jedi Temple Archives. I'm going to Yak Face. I'm going to the vintage collection page on Facebook, trying to get it to work. And I couldn't get it to work. Finally, someone said, you have to download the app, the Walmart app. So once you download the Walmart app, it opens up in the Walmart app as a pre-order. So I was able to pre-order R2, the gunner, and the 2 Bespin security guards. The Stormtrooper wasn't live. He was showing on the stock. And so I was trying, and then Tony Johnson was like, no, you got to keep trying. You just got to be stubborn. And you just have to keep opening, close. And eventually, after a couple minutes of opening the page and closing it, opening the page and closing it. This is all, again, before 1 o'clock when it was supposed to go live. This is closer to lunchtime for me. The Stormtrooper came up, so I was able to order 2 because you have to order 2 with Walmart because who knows. So I was able to order 2, but by 1:15, everything was sold out. So, I mean, there's a lack of communication between Walmart and Hasbro. I doubt Walmart even cares what Hasbro dictates. They'll do what they want to do.
Because they're Walmart.
They're Walmart. They're the big juggernauts, and they make the rules, not the manufacturers. So it was just a frustrating experience. If you were told like it goes live at 1 o'clock, and then you go to work, you do your work, and then you come out at 1 o'clock to get your things, pre-order things on Walmart, you might find that everything has been sold out, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, well, that's Walmart for you. I'm sorry. That just is why I don't like collecting modern stuff, dude.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but like Lego's releasing the DeLorean. They're doing a full, like the big boy DeLorean set on Friday at Friday, I think at 10 or whatever. I'm like, I called them there. Oh, just show up. It'll be here. Or, show up before 10, get in line. And if you got them, you got them, How hard is that?
I don't know. I mean, I was watching a live stream last night about the Vintage Collection group on Facebook. Not about them, about the Vintage Collection.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about the Boba Fett droids and R2-D2 figures from Target. Everybody else in the world has it, readily available in stock. But for whatever reason, the pre-orders haven't been fulfilled and they haven't hit store shelves yet. And not only that, with Walmart, I can pre-order everything that I just did, the 5 pre-orders for the Vintage Collection, and they're supposed to come out October 1. They'll usually open up more pre-orders in September. And those pre-orders get fulfilled first before the ones in March. So that's a little bit frustrating because then there's also the threat of being canceled. Your orders will be canceled for whatever reason.
Happened to me.
And so it's just, like everything seems to be screwed up. And interestingly, the PR company that represents the Hasbro Star Wars brand is no longer working with them. Now, I don't know what the implications of that means. Could just be that the contract expired. They want to try something else. It could be that maybe the PR firm doesn't want to work with the Star Wars brand anymore. It could be that Hasbro or Lucasfilm or Disney said no more with that group. I don't know. But it's just interesting that there's all these communication issues between manufacturers, Hasbro, and then the toy sellers, Walmart, Target, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I didn't mean to go on a rant this morning. It's interesting and weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that email from Hasbro because we're on as the Smuggler's Galaxy. I thought we'd get free crap from Hasbro, but obviously they don't think we're big enough. But
No,
I get the emails, and they'd sent an email out saying they got a new PR firm, and I was like, good job, guys.
Yeah, I just hope like the live streams are better because they're definitely reading from a script, and I think those can be improved just to make them sound more human. I've heard some complaints online. I don't personally have those complaints. They can call it whatever they want, but yeah, it's like it's not an expression; it's a toy line. It's an action figure. Like you don't need to call it expressions. So we'll see what happens.
So is Patrick works for Hasbro? He doesn't work for the PR company.
Correct. He's the global marketing something or other director, vice president. I don't remember, but yeah, he's a Hasbro employee.
All right. Maybe they can fix the lighting and the sound and stuff too.
Maybe. Speaking of interesting things, like I was on the call last night with the Collector Alliance about just life in Star Wars. Even though I'm exhausted with it right now, the talk was still the Hakes auction and the outrageous prices. And I did bring up, I just think it's a bad investment. I think it's a great hobby. I think it's a bad investment because when you have something like tape on the side of a bubble that falls off,
yeah,
you just lost a lot of money right there.
Yep.
And so I did some research real quick. I don't know exactly what kind of tape they use on the inside of the bubble, but Scotch tape is supposed to last 6 months to 2 years. After that, the adhesion starts to wear off. So, I mean, these are figures that are supposed to last 4 years. They're supposed to, maybe 6 to 12 months on store shelves. 3M cloth tape is supposed to last 2 years. So it's not a good investment because you're now racing the clock. At some point, these things are going to degrade. And so I also was curious about plastic itself because is that going to degrade in our lifetime or is it going to degrade generations from now? And so plastic bottles take 450 years to break down. But plastic, it depends on the kind of plastic, can take anywhere between 20 years to 500 years in general to decompose, depending on the material and the structure of the plastic. A plastic lined coffee cup takes 30 years to break down. So, bubbles, we're hitting that 30, 40 years right there. So those are going to be degrading right in front of our eyes, quite possibly, depending on the kind of plastic they use.
Well, we're already seeing it in the Return of the Jedi stuff, the yellow one. Yeah,
and it's going to start happening with them all. So I'm just like, is that a good investment? Really? But whatever. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I mean, as far as, like investment pieces, when we were talking like last week and then, talking about the rise of pricing 2 weeks ago and investment versus, how were you investing and stuff. I was thinking after I bought that DT, the graded DT Luke, it's like, this is probably the first piece, quote unquote, investment piece that I bought because you're looking at numbers and you're just seeing rising. I've seen a DT Luke rise, $500-600 in the last year. So that's why I went ahead and jump on it. But it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm contradicting myself, but I bought it because I don't want to wait another 6 months and have to pay double for it. But then again, it's like, I know in 6 months, I know I'm never going to lose my money on it either.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a bubble.
Yeah.
This whole investor thing. And I'm sure it's going to pop at some point. Or I would be surprised if it doesn't pop. But Narayan had a point last night. It's better just to buy an ungraded piece that's in good condition and then possibly get it graded. You lose the risk of, having a high-end piece that you've spent a lot of money and it suddenly breaks down. I think that's the route to go.
I don't think people realize that you can just send something to a grading company because we were talking to one of the guys at Toylanta and he was like, I'm looking for a really high-end graded Stormtrooper. And we're like, just go drop it off at AFA. And he was like, what? I can do that? It's like, yeah, you're going to save yourself a ton of money. It's a little bit more aggravating, but pick out a good looking stormtrooper and take it to him and see what happens.
So what does he think happens with grades? How does that happen?
I think people don't realize that a normal person can get something graded, or how easy it is more to get something graded. I don't know. I don't know if you think they think you have to have an account, or if it's only a wholesale thing. I've gotten stuff graded. It's no big deal.
Right.
I've gotten several pieces graded. Thankfully, in Atlanta, I don't know how they're doing it now, but 2-3 years ago, you can make a phone call and set up an appointment and go drop something off at AFA.
Right.
And then pick it up. And that saves a lot of time and money, because you're not shipping it back and forth. But the reason I did that, with the DT Luke, hold on, you're getting it. You know what you're getting. That's the only thing, like with the rocket firing Fett, or with the DT Luke, or a vinyl cape Jawa, something that can easily be faked. The peace of mind is there.
Right.
When it's been graded and you get the certificate of authenticity and you compare them all together and you're like, all right, I know what I'm getting and it's worth that. But yeah, I mean, if I'm buying a loose figure, there's no way in hell, I'd want to pay $200-$300 for a graded loose figure. Cause to me, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And to me, I think having a graded loose double telescoping Luke Skywalker is better than a carded, because I know they're rare, I know they're expensive, but eventually it's going to be just a loose figure. And you spent a hell of a lot more money to get that loose figure than if you had just bought the graded loose figure. If that makes sense.
No, I 1,000% agree, because now they're starting to come up with ways to protect the bubble. Yeah. Because it's scary. I would not order a graded carded figure. I would not want a graded carded figure shipped to me, because because there's no way to protect that bubble in shipping. And if it gets jarred just the right way, that figure's coming out. And then you've got a figure, a graded piece that the figure popped the bubble. And that scares me. Unless I knew it was protected bubble from CAS or AFA, no way I'd order a ship, not have a hand delivered graded carded figure. Not, I would never want a graded carded figure shipped without a bubble protector, just for that very reason.
Absolutely. Changing gears a little bit here. There's a scene in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. You haven't seen these, have you?
No.
Yeah. So there's a scene at the beginning of Return of the King where Andy Serkis, who plays Smeagol, he's basically a hobbit, and he gets perverted by the ring, and he slowly transitions from like a hobbit to the creature Gollum. Uh-huh. And it's a combination of CG and practical effects and prosthetics. And it got me thinking, would you want to see some sort of deep fake at the end of Kenobi where we see just like, so we're 8 years away from A New Hope. Would you want to quickly see a montage of him just watching Luke on Tatooine and slowly transitioning from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness using deepfake technology?
I'm thinking. It sounds cool. I am partial to believe that the Kenobi series will cover years, not months. That's where my feeling is. I have a feeling that it'll take us as close to A New Hope as it can. If that makes sense. It's not going to be, there's going to be some time jumps in it. But I think that would be cool if that's what they want to do. And then, that may be the good way of taking it, in a 5-minute montage versus the whole episode, the whole season.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just looking at different ways to use that technology, and that came to mind.
And I do think it's funny that everybody compares, 20 years on Tatooine. Look how old these people looked in A New Hope. It's like when George Lucas made A New Hope, he had no plans for anything else, or, didn't really know where things were going. So of course they're going to look older, because that's what, they got younger actors, or, the timeline didn't work out.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
We're too freaking picky as Star Wars fans, dude.
Yeah, I guess I have expectations, and then when I get those, when I get the shows and stuff, it's just like, well, that didn't meet my expectations. It doesn't mean it wasn't good. It just means that I need to stop thinking so much.
Well, that's what I did with Force Awakens. I dove into all the spoilers. I dove into the, watching the trailer so many times. And then when I saw it, I was just like, this is just a rehash of New Hope. And I was let down. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it took me like 2 or 3 watchings to, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
To get over that bum, I was bummed out by it. So I tend not to try to get my expectations high. Even though I did do that with Book of Boba a little bit and was disappointed, but I still enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And that's with a lot of people. People don't understand that, we may not agree, but you can enjoy. I'm not going to be mad at you for liking something.
Yeah, you bring something up interesting, like what met my expectations. I think Mandalorian did. It exceeded season 1 exceeded my expectations. So did season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Boba Fett did not, but I think that was part of the pre-stuff going up to it. Some of the pre-interviews saying, meet your expectations. Anything you think of, it's like, you guys got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop telling everybody that your expectations will be met. And it's just like, well, if he meant like, we'll see him come out of the Sarlacc, then okay, yeah, our expectations were met, but not everything, because we were looking at bounty hunters. We were thinking every bounty hunter would be there.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a dangerous tool that a content creator should use like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think that, the things that blew me away were like Rogue One. Solo was cool.
Yeah.
Rogue One blew me away because I had no expectations going into it. Solo, I had the thing that upset me the most about Solo is the story, or at least you think the story, and it was totally different in the movie. But that's movie magic versus the books.
Well, running up to Rogue One, there was a lot of reports online that it was a cluster. They brought in Terry Gilroy to write new scenes and redirect it. There were so many rumors that the original director, Gareth Edwards, was kind of pulled off, and they added a new one to kind of tighten it up and make it better. And they did some reshoots, and they did extensive reshoots. And so your expectations were like, or at least mine were like, this is going to be mediocre at best. And it wasn't. It was pretty fantastic.
Yeah. But I think all the trilogy, the sequels, The Last Jedi, was it last?
Yeah, The Last
Jedi was the last one. The first time I saw that, just the fan service, and that was great. I think they tied up a lot of loose ends. Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker was the second one.
No, Rise of Skywalker is the last one.
I'm sorry.
The Last Jedi is the one where people start screaming at you.
Okay. The Rise of Skywalker met my expectations. That's where, but they just did such a good job of tying up all the loose ends, and the fan service was perfect in that. It was a nice way to say goodbye to Carrie Fisher, tied that up. And then, you got Chewie got his medal. And then there was a lot of raw emotion in that movie, and Han Solo popping back up and ending, so the fans you were just a bundled mess at the end of that movie. Because
I was, or you were?
I
wasn't.
The second or third time I watched it, I was. The first time I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. And then what's coming up. And then you realize, Crate was in the middle movie, right?
Yeah.
So that scene got me when it was Han and Luke and Leia, because, this is the last time you're going to see them on screen together. Right. And then, when you realize it and you rewatch them and you're like, this is the last time I'm going to see my heroes, then it gets you.
Yeah.
But I saw Rise of Skywalker with a big group, and there was one guy like 2 down to me that was just bawling like a little baby. The third time I watched it, I was bawling, but not the first time.
Yeah, my youngest was bawling at the death of Leia, but I don't know. I'll leave it at there.
Yeah.
I have 2 more pieces, and then we can move on to the main topic. I did make a bet with Tony Johnson.
Yes, I want to hear this.
Friday night before Toylanta, because he doesn't think Leia will appear in Obi-Wan in any form. And I made a specific bet with him that it has to be some actress portraying Leia, not the mentioning of her, like she was kind of alluded to initially in Rogue One, but then you see her at the end. and I'm looking for her to appear as an 8-year-old. Some actress, some young actress has been cast as Princess Leia for that show. And so I bet him that, yes, she will appear. And he bet me, no, she won't appear. And the loser has to buy the other person an action figure, a Leia action figure, any kind. Like it could be like a Micro Machine. It doesn't have to be, A New Hope or whatever. But that's our little fun bet. Just something to see what's going to happen. And we'll check in every week as Obi-Wan, drops, and we'll see where we are with that bet.
Yeah.
Who was right, Tony or me?
Interesting bet. I think she'll show up there. Yeah, like you said, it's got to be more than a mention, and I think I'm really hoping that we actually see like some up close Luke and some up close Leia, not just through the binoculars type thing. Like maybe they'll be at the market or something. They'll be in Tattoo or Mos Eisley, and Luke will be acting up, and Uncle Owen yells at him or something. But I'm curious if even we're going to get like a teenage Luke. If we're going to get that time jump.
I don't think we're going to get a time jump. In my mind, in my head canon, at one point, Luke did meet Ben.
Yes.
And it left an impression on him. And there was probably 8 years. Like if Luke and Ben meet in the show, or Obi-Wan, and that would be the last time in my head that they see each other until the movies.
Okay.
They cross paths. And he makes an impression on Luke for some reason. I don't know if it's just magical powers or if there's some instant connection or destiny intertwines them and Luke feels it through the Force or something like that. I guess, yeah, that's.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some kind of interaction. We just don't know what.
Yeah. Because when Luke says in A New Hope, what are we talking about that old Ben? It just seems like. There was that old guy we once met years ago, kind of. What about that guy?
Or unless Ben's just some, he's some legend, like you get the legends of, towns. You have the really old guy that lives down the street that you stay away from that dude. He's off.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
I guess we'll see in 60 days?
60 days, something like that. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Do you follow the Vintage Collection on Instagram?
No.
Every year they do a March Madness where they have 64 different figures that Hasbro never made. And then they do a March Madness, and every week, you vote for you kind of vote against two figures. So Black K won, Santo, he won, and so he's the choice figure. But I thought it'd be interesting. I took the top 16, and I'm just going to run through this real quick with you, and you tell me. I already know there's one name here, and I'm like, as I'm typing this bracket out, I'm like, this is obviously the winner no matter what. I'm already picking this one.
All right.
So between Dooku and Pre Vizsla, who would you pick?
Pre Vizsla.
I'm writing this down. And then Kanan versus Kestis.
Kanan.
Obviously. Asajj Ventress versus Baze Malbus. Baze is one of the guys from Rogue One.
Asajj.
Here we go. Darth Revan versus Sabine Wren.
Duh, Sabine.
See.
You can already, whatever Rebels figures, just advance them.
Right. Dark Trooper versus Saw Gerrera.
Dark Trooper. Didn't they do a Dark Trooper?
Not in Vintage Collection.
Okay. Dark Trooper, you're talking like the guys from Rogue One, not the...
No, the troopers from The Mandalorian Season 2, right at the end, the black...
Yeah, that's a pretty bad. That would be pretty.
No,
badass.
Season 1. Yeah, Season 1 with Luke.
The guy that grabs Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Yeah, those would be badass. We'll go there.
Harrison Dula or Cad Bane?
Yeah, Hera. Sorry, I'm like.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, sorry. It's Dula messed me up. That's what. Yeah.
Hack from the Bad Batch or the Grand Inquisitor?
Inquisitor.
And then Black K or Paz Vizsla?
Paz Vizsla's the heavy from. Which one's Paz? The heavy from? Yeah, I'd go.
Yeah, he's the heavy trooper.
And then the second. What was the second one?
Black Curse.
Black K, because Black K is a more badass figure than.
Yeah. So, all right, next round: Pre Vizsla or Kanan?
Fudge. Kanan.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Asajj versus Sabine.
Sabine.
Dark Trooper versus Hera.
Hera.
And then the Grand Inquisitor versus Paz Vizsla.
Grand Inquisitor.
All right, and then Kanan versus Sabine.
Sabine.
Hera versus the Grand Inquisitor.
Hera.
Sabine versus Hera.
I knew it was coming to that. It would be Sabine.
I knew it. I knew
Yeah.
it the second I saw Sabine was in the ranking. I was like, that's going to be Glenn's pick. So it's interesting that out of all those 64 figures, I mean, there was, oh God, I can't remember now because it's too early, but all of the main characters, except for, what's his name? The kid.
Ezra.
The kid, Ezra, thank you. Made it into the top 16.
Mm-hmm.
Kanan, Sabine, Hera, and the Grand Inquisitor, all from Rebels, made it into the top 16.
If I had hair on my arms, they'd be standing up right now. There's rumors that that's going to be the next HasLab is a ghost. And if they made it, you'd have to,
I don't know.
I don't think they will, but if they did, I'd be one of the first backers of it. Especially if they came with the crew, especially if it had the crew with them.
Yeah, but I think what Hasbro would do is whatever Star Wars and Lucasfilm tells them, and they want to support their current IP. So if it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi show and the Cantina appears, then yes. If they do a spin-off with Ahsoka, where it's Rebels Season 6 legitimately, then yes, I could see that happening then for the Ghost. But I don't think they're going to support something from years ago.
Right. The way things are going, I think it's all going because how involved was Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau in Clone Wars? Because I don't know that. How involved were they in Clone Wars?
Filoni?
Yeah, and Favreau.
Favreau was not in it. He was just the voice of
The Pre Vizsla.
No, was it Pre Vizsla?
Yeah, it was the guy with the darksaber.
Okay. I thought that was someone else.
I thought that was Filoni or Favreau. Sorry,
Favreau was in it.
John Favreau or whatever.
Someone's screaming at us right now in their car.
Well, the reason I'm asking this is because you just your mind works sometimes. Rebels is like the first thing that they did together, or that Dave Filoni was like really, really into. And now that he's doing this, why wouldn't he want to bring everything back to his first love?
Yeah.
That's where my mind is, because that's what Favreau does, or Filoni does. Sorry.
Yeah, he was Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars, and he was Paz Vizsla in the Mandalorian.
Okay.
So, just to clarify.
But yeah, sorry. I'm Dave Filoni's going. I think the way that they're going is everything's going to go back to Rebels. The way that, especially with the way Kenobi's setting things up. So I have a feeling that if they go the way that I'm assuming it is, as a freaking huge Rebels fan, that yes, then they'll have, the Ghost. They'll have no other choice but to maybe bring that back.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
But yes, I totally agree that they're not going to come back and just say, "Oh, we're bringing you the Ghost," with no backing of it, especially with what happened with the Rancor.
Yep. There's things I want to say. I'm not going to say it.
We're trying to be good. All right, let me run down the shows, and then we'll get into our main topic. Joe Fest in Augusta, June 25th, the weekend of June 24th through the 26th. Heroes Con in Charlotte, June 24th through the 26th. Legion Con, our buddy Chris Hamer's show, is August 20th in Smyrna. The Conyers Toy Show, which is our buddy Dutch's toy show, is December 4th in Conyers. Celebration, May 26th and 29th and through 29th in Anaheim. April 2nd, which is this coming up weekend, we'll be out there, is the Powder Springs show, toy swap. And then Martin, who does the Powder Springs show, is doing a Gwinnett toy show in one of the Legions out there, May 21st. So it's going to be fun. So if you guys got any, if you guys got any toy shows y'all want us to announce, send us an email, smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com, or shoot us, either one of us, a PM, and I'll put them on my list. And we'll keep announcing them like every couple of weeks, just so everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my Boba Fett shirt.
I noticed. I totally screwed that up because I got my Back to the Future shirt on.
Did I show you what happens if I turn it inside out? Does it work?
Yes, it does. That's great.
So when I turn my, it's like a t-shirt cosplay. It's just Boba Fett's armor. But when I pull the shirt up over my head, on the inside is an upside down version of Boba Fett's helmet. So it looks like the helmet's on my face, but then you see my stomach, my white stomach right now. I need to get tan.
Yeah, I'm never going to be tan.
So we're talking Book of Boba Fett as a whole, all 7 episodes. We're not breaking it down. We're not going into the beats of the show. We're just talking at a high level. What did you think of the entire season?
Yes. So you want my like synopsis, or do you want to just like go into it?
Well, we broke it down so people can listen to those 7 episodes if they want a synopsis. I thought we would just do high level.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if you needed a.
No, I don't need to do that.
I didn't know if you needed a statement from me or you just want to like go for it.
Did you prepare a statement?
No, not really. I just
All right, then
talking.
Just
points.
go for it.
It was not what I expected. I enjoyed it, but it is not what I expected. Because I was expecting badass Boba Fett. I wanted between Empire and Jedi before he gets into the Sarlacc pit. And I wanted to see him hunting Han Solo. I wanted to see bounty hunters. I didn't even want to see flashbacks. I wanted to see, this is what happened before he went into the Sarlacc pit. This is him getting out of the Sarlacc pit. This is how he got to where he's at. And we got to see him coming out of the Sarlacc pit, 3 episodes of him running around like a Tusken Raider, and then Mandalorian, and then some ass kicking. And that was it.
So you didn't like the 7 episodes we got?
I liked them. Don't get me wrong. I
So
enjoyed them.
show.
Huh?
So you liked the show?
I liked the show, yes, but it did not.
Didn't meet
It
your
wasn't what I was
expectations.
expecting. Yes. How about you?
Yeah, looking back on it, I think I liked it more than I did the initial time, initial run. There was some expectation issues. It's interesting because the thing that I found the least interesting on my initial watch through, which is the Tusken Raiders, the Return of the Jedi timeline, is the thing that I find the most interesting now. And I find the Mandalorian timeline to be the least interesting thing about the entire show. And I think it is because of the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian set Boba Fett up as this brutal badass, the Boba Fett that we've been wanting to see for years. And then he was kind of neutered in Book of Boba Fett. He was trying to be a respectable individual in the eyes of the people around him. And, it's just like, what was that turn for? I guess the turn was because he wants to build a community. That's the whole point of this whole show, is that Boba Fett learned what the value of community. I guess what the missing element was, there probably should have been a moment where he got screwed over by the Empire and he has no love for the Empire, which is why he was so brutal in The Mandalorian season 2 towards the stormtroopers. I think that was missing.
You said it so much elegantly, so much better, so much more better than I did.
I think we're in trouble then. But yeah.
Well, I like the neutered part because it was you, because they, in that Mandalorian episode when he shows up and he kicks all those stormtroopers' ass, you were expecting, because Roger Rodriguez was like, this is what Book of Boba Fett's going to be. If you like this episode, you're going to love Book of Boba Fett. And you got him running around. You didn't. Yeah. It wasn't. You got to see almost more politics than you did anything else, which they should have learned with Phantom Menace, that we don't want to see politics.
Well, politics can be done right, and it could be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it worked well here.
No.
I do love the inclusion of Cad Bane. I wish that was a build-up between Boba Fett and Cad Bane from episode 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have been cool to know that Cad Bane had been working for the Pikes all along and somehow crossed Boba Fett or did something to Boba Fett that he doesn't realize he did, and then later on he realizes it, and that tension comes to an end in a duel. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a missed opportunity. I love the Tusken stuff. Again, I didn't like it the first time. I loved it the second time. I thought that they really went into the mythology of the Tusken Raiders and drew them out as a three-dimensional character. And you kind of see Boba Fett understanding the power of community. Like I said in the other reviews, it's the whole point. They had the Daniel Logan section, or the shots of Daniel Logan longing as his father walked out, or drove off into the universe from Camino. You know, he's longing for that community. He's longing to be part of something. I don't know if the show communicated all that well, but that was the purpose, as far as I could see, as for including that.
Yeah, I think that, and I also think they could have got that done in like 2 episodes, not 3 or 4.
Right.
And it is like all Star Wars. There's a purpose to everything, and I think it was, the community thing. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen more Cad Bane. I would have loved to have seen that build up, or having a flashback of him and Cad Bane going at it, and then you could have, and it didn't have to be much. It could have been in the middle of their battle. It could have been a flashback to them on wherever in the Clone Wars that we, the deleted Clone Wars scene. It could have been a flashback and been 5 minutes of them battling, getting ready to battle it out then, and then connecting everything together. I wanted, truthfully, not I just said Clone Wars and something just sparked in my mind, because that whole arc in Clone Wars, he had there wasn't really an arc, but there was a lot of stuff going on in the background with Boba Fett in Clone Wars as a young Boba Fett. Him getting all the bounty hunters together, and everybody was like, oh, this young kid and blah, but then he was a badass as a young kid because, he had all the clone and stuff, he was an enhanced clone, but he knew how to fight and stuff, even as a little kid, and knew how to hold his own up against these adults. And that would have been cool to see too.
Mm-hmm.
Him running around in his Boba Fett armor that's too big for him, but we didn't get it.
No, it's not vital to the story, because again, they're telling some bigger story right now, and that's why they're focusing on this Mandalorian timeline. A lot of people. Go ahead.
Do you think it felt rushed, the whole series?
I don't know if it felt rushed to me. I felt like it was not necessary.
Okay.
There's no greater implication in the entire universe as far as Boba Fett taking a leadership role on Tatooine and Mos Espa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that? I don't know. Like, how does that affect the First Order / the remnants of the Empire?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
I don't know. The reason I think we got this show is to tide us over till Mandalorian season 3, just so we get some new Star Wars content. And when I say rushed, I don't mean like the story. I mean like the whole thing was to put together fast, and it was put together in a year versus Kenobi, where how long's Kenobi been? They've been producing Kenobi, and people have already said that Kenobi looks so much better than any other thing they've put out. Maybe they're taking their time with putting Kenobi together, producing Kenobi, and they didn't take their time producing Book of Boba Fett.
I mean, to be fair, they were shooting season 2 of Mando during the airing of season 1. So it was a year before that was released again.
Okay.
So it's not, I don't think it was rushed. I just worry about the greater implications and the lack of in the show. There is no implications. It was just, okay, that's nice. All right, what's going on over there?
Yeah. Well, it felt like, I guess we were expecting, or what I was expecting, is if Boba Fett was that somehow Boba Fett and Mandalorian was going to come up with this great friendship, then they were going to you were going to see more Boba Fett in Mandalorian, and they kind of cut that off the way they ended Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're going to come back and say, hey, Boba, now you owe me one, and let's go battle some more. But I don't think he's going to do that unless they, I have a feeling that
the debt was fulfilled.
Yeah, the debt was fulfilled, and I don't know, unless some kind of way that Cobb Vanth will come back as some like super RoboCop thing.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Yeah, and then they'll send him with it, but
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah. You're right. They tied it up too neatly. They stuff they could have. It felt like they could have almost done this in like 2 or 3 episodes of Mandalorian, or even one episode.
Yeah, think about how much ground they covered in those 2 episodes with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was because you were expecting all the Mandalorian stuff to be paid off like half of next season, and it was paid off in 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that was weird. I wish there was a little bit more. I wish they explored the relation with the being. What am I trying to say? Like Grogu. I wish that had happened in Mandalorian season 3, so that there was more time between season 2 and when we see Grogu come back to Mandalorian. I guess it felt like it was too rushed. Like, I'm dropping him off. Oh no, I'm just going to take him back now.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like that. Like, if there was a season of Boba Fett between where nothing happened with that, then I felt like it wouldn't have been as rushed.
Gotcha.
To include Mandalorian and to get those 2 back together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. I mean, how long? What was he with them? 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah, and then he was gone like a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that felt a little rushed. A lot of people had issues with the unmasking of Boba Fett, and for me, I felt like that was the evolution of the character.
I don't have an issue with them unmasking him. I think if they would have left him masked, they could have done a lot more with the character. They could have done the flashbacks, and they could have, had more action. I think they kind of pigeonholed themselves letting Tamora Morrison play this character, because you once you have him unmasked, and once you establish that, because like with the Mandalorian, they established that he had his helmet on all the time, but then Boba Fett kept taking his helmet off when he had to talk to somebody. So it felt like if there was going to be an action scene, or if there was something going on, Tamora Morrison had to play the part. Whereas if you were going to do a younger Boba Fett, he wouldn't have had to take his helmet off. Now, did this happen because of the Sarlacc pit and because he had his helmet, didn't have his helmet for 5 or 6 years, and he got used to not having it on, and that comfort level was gone? I don't know.
Yeah, but the whole attire was supposed to be like a front. Like, this is a cold-hearted killer. When you see Boba Fett in that armor, you don't know who's underneath. He's just a cold-hearted killer. He could be anyone. He could be your worst nightmares. Whatever the case may be. Taking the mask off shows his humanity and how he's moved past that role as a cold-hearted killer. Now he wants to be a protector, a governor, a ruler, somebody who cares about the people and earns the people's respect, and he doesn't want to do it through killing anymore. So I just felt like it was a natural evolution for the character to be more opening and welcoming by taking his mask off and saying, here I am, and I want to be your leader. I want to show you that I am worthy of your following. Followage?
Your loyalty or whatever.
Loyalty, yeah. So I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with Tamora coming back into the role, because it's just more continuity between the prequels and this. So I thought it worked.
Okay.
As far as I didn't, looking at the action, do you have more to say?
No. I'm just, go ahead.
Looking at the action, I felt like it was uneven when you compare, and this has been picked apart, so I don't want to get too in depth. The mods chasing through Tatooine, that felt slow, felt clunky, and then you compare it to the action at the end of the last episode where there's the big battle in Mos Espa. I thought that worked really, really well, and I thought it was really good. But then you've got the clunkiness of that episode. Was it episode 3? I think, with the mod chase.
Maybe 4.
4. It was just clunky. I think it was 3, because there was one more episode before they cut into episode 5 with the Mandalorian.
Okay.
It was just slow and clunky, and I just felt they could have done better.
Yeah.
It didn't help that I was already rooting against the mods. I'm just like, kill these guys off. And
I think they kind of led the mods up to be this great, because when you first saw the leader, you were like, who's this girl and what is she riding? And you thought she'd be riding this badass moped. Yeah. You didn't think she'd be riding a freaking moped. You thought she'd be on a speeder bike, a badass speeder bike.
Swoop.
Yeah. Swoop bike
Swoop
or
bike.
something, and she's on a moped. The only thing I could think of is they made them be like teenagers, and they were a teenage gang, and we're gonna, we like Harry Potter way too much. So I think they fit the characters, they just didn't fit Star Wars.
Yeah.
Unless they were just your Robert Rodriguez being Robert Rodriguez, and those are his thumb warriors.
Yeah, he kind of goes overboard sometimes, and I felt like that was the moment where he kind of went overboard in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is what it is. The Rancor, I was expecting when I saw the Rancor appear. That was episode 4. The Rancor appears. I guess I was expecting something more like Avatar, because he was just introduced. There's the Bond, and then the next time we see him is at the end of the season when Boba Fett's riding it. I guess I was expecting something a little bit more. The best way to describe it is from Avatar, when Jake Sully gets on the Banshee. Their nerve endings kind of intertwine, and he's told that you have to ride for the connection to be stronger and to be solidified.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was just that moment was kind of missing. And I guess I was expecting that, because they did make the connection, but then it was just like, all right, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Because I think Danny Trejo, that was such a waste of a good actor. Like you said, it was a bad moment. It was a missed moment. I at least they should have showed him going back and being like, well, hey boss, you got to do this, that, and the other, or whatever. Or maybe we lost. But I think if they would have done that, we lost the surprise of the Rancor coming back into battle. It would have been cool to see that, like I said, you lost all that, and it was just a waste of a great actor.
Yeah.
I think.
Speaking of a waste, I also thought the twins were wasted, the twin Hutts.
Yeah.
That was a moment they hit those drums, and it was just anticipation, like what's coming, what's around that corner, what are they carrying? And then you see the Hutts, and you're just like, oh boy. Like you just felt the universe expand in that moment.
Right.
The Star Wars universe. And it was just like the Hutts are back on the scene. And then the next episode or two, they're like, all right, we're done. We're out.
Yeah. We're going to leave you to Tatooine.
So I'm hoping they leverage those characters some more, because it felt like it'd be a missed opportunity if they arrived it felt like they were being introduced for a greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't do that, then it was just a missed opportunity, I think, if we don't see them in the next season of The Mandalorian or Ahsoka or whatever the case may be.
I think we're going to see them, because I don't think Dave Filoni wastes characters. We may see Danny Trejo mixed in with them again.
It's just different when you've got a full season of 24 episodes of the Clone Wars versus only 7 episodes of Boba Fett or 8 episodes of The Mandalorian. Like, how much ground can you cover in a short distance like that?
Right.
That's what I get worried about when they introduce a character like the Hutts. Will we see those characters kind of fleshed out or have a bigger implication in the Star Wars universe sometime later down the road?
Mm-hmm. I mean, would you want to see 24 episodes of a live action Star Wars?
Absolutely. As long as there's no filler.
Yeah. Clone Wars had a lot of filler though, didn't it?
It did. And when you look at some of those Netflix, Daredevil, Marvel shows like The Punisher, like they had, and Luke Cage, they had 10 episodes where they could have probably just did what they needed to do in 6.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was filler. It was tough to get through some of that stuff. It had just been edited down. And I don't want it to get to that point. But if you had 24 solid stories, yes, I would watch a full season of Star Wars something.
Gotcha.
I remember the first filler episode of Rebels, and I was just like, oh dear God, don't do this. So they introduced all the characters. It might have been episode 3 or 4 of that season.
Uh-huh.
Then it was just Zeb and Ezra trying to get along like brothers. Like they hated each other, and then they had to get along. But it just felt so filler to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tangent. Anyways, let's talk about Max Rebo real quick.
Yes.
Did he live or die?
I think he had the night off. Was he in when they blew it up? Did we see him?
We didn't see him.
I think he had the night off.
So I guess in my head canon, Max Rebo is the Frank Sinatra of the Star Wars universe.
Uh-huh.
And so if there's going to be some sort of hit on a club and Frank Sinatra is going to be in it, you're just like, hey, Frankie, stay home. So Max Rebo is the sexy swooner of the Star Wars universe. And if you know something's going to happen, you're like, okay, is Max Rebo going to be there? Yes. Make sure he's not there. Make sure he stays home that night. He's got a flat tire. Make sure he's got a flat tire. He can't go.
You've got to take the night off, kid.
No matter if you're a Pike, if you're a Crimson Sun or
Crimson
Black
Dawn.
Sun,
Black
Crimson
Sun.
Dawn or Black Sun, you love Max Rebo.
See, that was another thing, dude. I really thought we were going to see some of those, where we were going to see Black Sun and Crimson Dawn, pop up, and then we got the Pikes.
It was funny watching people read the tea leaves. They're like, the sunlight in the mayor's room, that's Crimson Dawn right there.
I remember
it's just
that.
Sun coming in. Like, not everything is connected like that. Wait, did you see how he turns to the camera? That's going to be the introduction of Sebulba, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Another thing, I was reading something on Facebook that they were talking about how one of the issues of Book of Boba Fett is they didn't know who the lead character necessarily was. Was it Boba Fett? Was it Mando? Was it Finnick? Was it, who was it? Was it the Jennifer Beals character? They never really said who the main character was in Book of Boba Fett. Or you never really established it.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I guess. I just thought it was Mandalorian. It's weird that your main character kind of disappears for a couple episodes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I agree with that. It is weird, but they're telling a bigger story again. You just got to keep that in mind with that lens. Understand that there's other things going on that they want to tell you about.
Right. And then like I said a few episodes ago, I think this is them training us for what's to come, just like they did in Bad Batch when they had a Hera. They had a Rebels episode in the middle of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
And
when they were writing the Force Awakens, they kept talking. JJ was talking about whenever they included Luke Skywalker in their script, it felt like the focus of the story went from, I guess, what would have been Rey. There's rumors that it was Kira. The focus went from Kira to Luke Skywalker, and it suddenly became Luke's story, which is why they threw Luke at the end of the movie. And so that was kind of repeated here in Boba Fett, where Mandalorian appears. You're suddenly like, oh, forget Boba Fett. Let's see Mandalorian. Like the focus suddenly shifts to Mando. So I think that's what you're kind of talking about there with that.
Gotcha.
That's just my read on it. Okay.
Oh. And then and just going back to deep fakes and everything. I'm going to bring up the other franchise that not all of us Star Wars people either love or hate. Most of us hate it. But in Star Trek, they've either, number one, let their heroes age gracefully, or they've recast them. Like when they did the Star Trek reboots, they rebooted the movies a few years ago. They recast everybody and everybody was like, all right, they recast everybody. Let's just go with it. Why couldn't, or we as Star Wars fans, are we so hung up on our characters still being played by the original people that we're willing to put up with the deep fake stuff? And, now it's gotten better, but how hard, would we have still realized, oh, that's Luke Skywalker, but it's not Mark Hamill? Would we have kind of still been in shock versus, oh, they recast him versus, oh, we got some crappy deep fake stuff.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. It's just like let's go back to Tarkin in Rogue One. Should they have recasted that, or did it work? I thought it worked. A lot of people had trouble with the eyes because the eyes are kind of soulless. And so it's just like, where's the uncanny valley? Where does it end?
Yeah.
What should they do? What shouldn't they do? Should they use this technology to their benefit, or should they just recast and have? So you're looking at it and you're like, that's not Luke Skywalker. But at the same time, you're like, that's a person. It's got a soul. I'm connecting with that person.
I think they could have done it with Tarkin in Rogue One. I don't think it would have, because I'm watching it almost going, okay, they recast it, not doing the deep fake or the face capture technology. Because, I think they could have done the same thing with Leia, have somebody who looks really close to that version of Leia, and we wouldn't have been going, that don't look right.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Luke and the Mandalorian. They, now granted, Luke and Book of Boba Fett looks better, but now we know what we're getting. We're just getting the deep fake and a computer generated Luke. And we're like, I guess this is what we got to deal with.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. If it works, it works. I just wish they would keep consistency. So if you're going to do that with the characters, use the deep fake. I wish you would do that with all of them, including Solo, because we've got a new Solo playing Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich.
Same thing with Lando. Are we going to see, if they ever get the Lando series now? Because they've already done it with Luke and Lando. I mean, not Han and Lando, and Donald Glover was a hell of a Lando.
Yeah,
he nailed that character.
He did.
So, now when if they ever get to the Lando series, are they just going to deep fake Lando, or are they going to get down to Glover to play him? Which I think they're doing all of us a disfavor if they're going to deep fake Lando.
We might get a deep fake show. I've kind of talked about that in the past with the gift that Lucasfilm was handing out at Christmas, and it had some Tales of the Jedi logo on it, along with Visions, along with Kenobi, along with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. And there was this mysterious, the Acolyte, there was this mysterious Tales of the Jedi. So what if we got a 4 or 5 episode Luke Skywalker TV show deepfaked? It's a celebration announcement.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if they're going to go that young on Luke Skywalker, just recast him.
It'd be interesting if there's like a future Disney Plus show showcase at Celebration, some panel where they're going to announce some of this stuff.
I would love to see young Luke and young Leia and, the stuff in between all the movies, because there's a lot of story to tell in between all those movies. And it'd be hell, even after Return of the Jedi, there's a ton of story to tell. To see how Luke got where he's at and see how, how Han and Leia ended up just having one kid. And because the EU is just, I know they had to destroy it, but damn, it sucked when they destroyed it, because the storyline, and I think that's another thing that threw me off about the sequels, was I was expecting EU stuff and they totally threw it all for a loop. They took it and shook it up and threw it away. Or at least see, when they called him Ben Solo, I almost stood up and yelled because it's not the right character. That's the wrong name.
Yeah, that's your headcanon again.
Yeah,
interfering with what you're seeing on TV.
So I've got to, and I think that's what threw me off about all the sequels, is because you were expecting, Han and Leia to still be together. You were expecting Luke to be a badass. You were expecting Leia to be a badass. And
that's a conversation for another podcast.
Yeah. Well, then we'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. I mean, Han grows from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, and then they completely reset him back to A New Hope for The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see the show, the Luke Skywalker show, with a deep fake, because I want to see the Battle of Jakku, because he was a major element of that battle, apparently.
Okay.
The reason why there's all those Star Destroyers and X-Wings and all that stuff crashed on the ground, that was like the final stand of the Empire after the Death Star blew up. And that's when they become remnants and they kind of collapse. It'd be cool to see Luke Skywalker there. It'd be cool to see Thrawn somehow be sidelined, and that's the reason why they lost. That's setting up the return of the heir to the Empire stuff. But these are the expectations that get in the way of what we see, and it ruins the experience. And so you just have to go into these things saying Empire Strikes Back is the greatest piece of Star Wars cinema, entertainment, content that we'll ever get. Mm-hmm. And this is my opinion. You can insert Empire Strikes Back with your favorite piece of Star Wars franchise and just say, entertain me.
Yeah.
Does it work or doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh. Anyway.
So.
I think that's about it, because if we keep going, we'll be on here for another half an hour.
All right, let's wrap it up real quick then. So out of 5 stars, where would you put Mandalorian season 1?
5.
Out of 5 stars, season 2 of Mandalorian.
I would put both of those at either 4.5, 5 stars, somewhere in there.
All right, and then Book of Boba Fett, where would you put that?
About 3.
And just for fun, Bad Batch, where would you put that?
2.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Put it at 3, because I had no expectations going into Bad Batch, so I would put it right in the middle.
Okay.
How about
All
you?
right. Mandalorian, both seasons 5 stars. Bad Batch, I'd put it 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian, probably watching it, I would say 3 now.
You mean Book of Boba?
Book of Boba Fett, excuse me. Sorry, thank you. It's amazing how sometimes my brain skips over things. Book of Boba Fett, I would probably put 3.5, 4.
Uh-huh.
Not perfect. Maybe 3.5.
Okay.
That's where I would put it.
Awesome.
So next week, are we doing a show live from the show?
Since we're going to carpool, we'll do it live. I've got my handy dandy task cam. We can do it while we're driving back and forth.
Okay.
Or we'll do it live at the show, whichever.
So next week is a show about the toy show at Powder Springs. And then the following week, we're going to look at the 92 vintage collection, 92 that they said they were going to produce. What's left? What have they made? And I also want to just briefly talk about what would you like to see added to the line before the line comes to a close. It comes to an end as we know it. Because I assume at some point they're going to go plastic free, which is another thing I forgot to talk about, because that plastic free, there's a new 6-pack that appeared in Walmart real quick.
Yeah.
And it says plastic free packaging. It's a weird collection of Darth Vader, a Death Trooper, Luke Skywalker, Rey, Kylo Ren, and someone
Those are
else.
those really cheap ones.
Cheap. Yeah. 5 points of articulation, but they put right at the bottom plastic free packaging. So it's coming. So before they stop making the vintage collection with the bubble, what are some of the figures that you want to see? So if you could write us in, you have 2 weeks to do that. Let us know what figures you want to see included in the vintage collection line. That would be appreciated. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
All right. Read it, Jason.
Thank you for listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out and points people to our show. Follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feedback, and we'd love to make you part of the show. Our email is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com, or you can just message us on Facebook. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smuggler's Galaxy logo, and to Levi Waterhouse. A big thank you for the music. Hasbro, re-release VC66. # vote with your wallet. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.
Almost had it.